कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरन यमुना तीरावन यमुना तीरावन चारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंदन यमुना तीरावन चारी माधव कुंज बिहारी कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गोपी जन वल्लभ राधा गोपी जन वल्लभ राधे जय निताय पतित पावन गौरारी जय निताय पतित पावन गौरारी प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद समवेता भक्तवृंद की जय विदाय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna devotees, today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, verse number 4. कलाशेश्वर रूपस्य परेशं च परस्यते स्वरूपं बत कुर्वन्ति यद्देत कुशलं जनः यद्देत कुशलं जनः कलाशेश्वररूपस्य परेशं च परस्य ते सर्वरूपं बत कुर्वन्ति यद्देत कुशलं जनः कलाशेश्वररूपस्य परा परेशं च पराश्रयते सर्वरूपं बत कुर्वन्ति यद्देत कुशलं जनः. Translation. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Purport. However ignorant one may be regarding the path of good fortune and the path down to the darkest region of ignorance, everyone is aware of the influence of eternal time, which devours all the effects of our material activities. The body is born at a certain time, and immediately the influence of time acts upon it. From the date of the birth of the body, the influence of death is also acting. The advancement of age entails the influence of time on the body. If a man is 30 or 50 years old, then the influence of time has already devoured 30 or 50 years of the duration of his life. Everyone is conscious of the last stage of life when he will meet the cruel hands of death. But some consider their age and circumstances, concern themselves with the influence of time, and thus engage in pious activities so that in the future they will not be put into a low family or an animal species. Generally, people are attached to sense enjoyment and so aspire for life on the heavenly planets. Therefore, they engage themselves in charitable and other pious activities. But actually, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, one cannot get relief from the chain of birth, and that even if he goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, because the influence of time is present everywhere within this material world. In the spiritual world, however, the time factor has no influence. We will recite Mangalacharan prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam, Pangum langayate girim, Yat kripatamaham bande, Shri Guru Dinatarinam, Paramanandam Madhavam, Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I seek blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas and my spiritual master so that I can able to glorify this spotless Purana Srimad Bhagavatam for the pleasure of devotees and my Guru. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today in this verse, Kapila Muni is speaking to Devahuti, and Devahuti is asking several questions. In the previous chapter, Kapila Muni has discussed about the Sankhya philosophy. He was discussing about the form of Lord, and he was discussing how to put your mind in and your senses in the service of Krishna or Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Krishna. And by doing such thing, you will attain perfection. And then here, Mother Devati is again asking some questions. She is asking how the influence of time on the Jiva, on this material world, on and on everyone who is under the influence of Maya. So uh, I was contemplating and thinking on something like, suppose if I am chanting and then if and my focus is not on chanting, if I'm thinking of something else, if I'm thinking of like when to finish my chanting and when I can be free from chanting, then I am under the influence of Maya. I am under the influence of the time which is all devouring. And if I go to a pilgrim place and then I think, where can I get a good lassi shop? Where can I go get a good pav bhaji shop? Where can I get something good to eat? Or where can I go and do a water sport? And without even thinking of associating with devotees and hearing about them, my full consciousness is to how to engage my senses in enjoying without in not in association of Krishna, then the time which I am spending in pilgrim place is devouring me. And if I am in the association of devotees, and then I am thinking of how should I compare myself with them so that I can make myself great. If I am with devotees, association of devotees, doing prajalpa, engaging my time in speaking about something which is not related to Krishna. If I am in the association of devotees, thinking instead of hearing about Krishna, just bodily present, thinking about something else which is going in my life, which is not related to Krishna, then the time which I spend with devotees is all devouring. And when I am hearing the class. I am in the class. I am sitting in the class, and then some Krishna story is going on, pastime is going on, and sitting in front of the class, I think that, oh, this topic I know everything from this topic, and then I think that the speaker, I can speak much better than the speaker who is speaking the class, and then I don't focus in the class. The time which I spend in the class is all devouring. So even though we are doing devotional service, but still we are in the influence of Maya when we are doing all these things. We'll get the grace of Krishna for sure, but that grace is very fractional, very minute. Because even Krishna says that even with your knowledge, or you are engaging yourself in some devotional service with full focus or without focus, you will you will at least you are much better than the people who are not coming and doing all these activities. So you will slowly you will be in you will get more and more grace of Krishnas and devotees, and you will come to a point, or I can say I will come to a point where I will be fully focused while performing my devotional service. So that is what we are speaking about when we speak about the time. When here in the purport, Mother Devotee saying is asking this question, asking Kapila Dev, Lord Kapila Muni, to describe the eternal nature of time, which represent Lord himself. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Krishna says to Arjuna that Kalosmi, time I am, and uh, um, and for the devotees, especially who are fully focusing on their spiritual activities, for them actually, if you yourself analyze, I'll give an example. If we are in some situation where we are very much happy materially, at least if we are very much happy, we think we forget the nature of the time. We are fully engaged in experiencing that happiness, and we don't even think that time is running. Like we the time for a moment we can say it is stopped. So, and we want it to remain like that forever. But since it's material nature, in material nature, everything is temporary, whether it is happiness, whether it is distress, and whether you want to experience that love forever, or that happiness forever, or you want to forget it forever. That is not at all in your hand. It all depends on the karma. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopijan Vallabh Nitai Patita Pavan Hari Jagat Vishaya Prabhati. So it's all depend on our karma, our pious activities, or our sinful actions. So when we are in directly under experiencing that bliss while performing spiritual activities, then for the devotees, like for pure devotees, the time doesn't matter. The time factor doesn't matter. For them, the time is helping them to get more and more and more and more closer towards Krishna. But for the materialist, time is helping them to get more and more and more and more closer to their death. So, pure devotees, we can take example. We have so many examples like Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj. And when he comes, when he travels, we can see his bodily condition. And for a non-devotee who doesn't know anything about Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj, he might be sitting in the airport, and Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj might be going in front of him. That non-devotee person must be looking at Maharaj and must be thinking, oh, so unfortunate soul, he's going through so much suffering and so many things. But if but the devotees and close devotees, they know that Jayambataka Swami Maharaj, even though externally he looks like that, but he is in bliss. He is in the bliss of spiritual, he's experiencing that spiritual bliss. And he is very much happy serving all other devotees, and he's very much happy serving his guru. He is very much happy serving his Krishna, serving Krishna, even in that condition, because he doesn't experience that externally. Externally, it might think that he might be experiencing, but internally, he's full of bliss. He's having that spiritual energy, and for him, the time is acting as a friend, and the time is making him closer and closer to Krishna. And then, even though being in this body, he's seeing Krishna. So if he's with Krishna, he's seeing Krishna, he's experiencing Krishna. So for him, the time is nothing, like it is stopped. for him the time is not running, it stopped, and he's just in that blissful condition throughout throughout his entire time, whatever he's giving, wherever, like he's not at all experiencing the time factor. But here in the verse, Mother Devotee is speaking that people generally want to engage in performance of pious activities. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that said in Bhagavad Gita, what is the use of pious activity if you have to take birth again and die again? What is the use? So, an intelligent person, first of all, how person will become intelligent? So, to know all these things, they have to associate with devotees. And as we were speaking just some time ago, if while association, if our our mind, if our consciousness is not focusing on on speaking about Krishna, thinking about Krishna, knowing more about Krishna in the association of devotees, then the time is all devouring, even in the association of devotees. So in the association of devotees, if we focus on somehow speaking about Krishna, listening about Krishna, doing some service for pleasure of Krishna and for pleasure of devotees, then by mercy of Krishna, by mercy of devotee, by mercy of Guru, we'll get this intelligence that these pious activities and whatever the activities which we do is not going to help us in any way. Externally, it might look that, oh, these pious activities are the ticket for us to go to higher planets. But who is the intelligent person, he will know that the ticket to go to higher planets will also give us a ticket to come back to this planet. It's like a birth, taking birth, doing all the pious activities, and then going back to heavenly planets, and then using our these pious activities as a money, spending all our pious activity in that heavenly planet, which is very costly, and then again coming back to our own place, and then again doing the same thing. And because this is material world, at every point of time, nobody can do all the good things. There will be a situation that because of the influence of Maya and because of the influence of senses, we are tend to do bad activities, sinful activities. If we don't control our mind, if we don't control our senses, then for sure we are doing sin. If for example of sin is, if we eating food without offering Krishna, we think that is also a sin. We might think that, oh, I have earned money with so much hard work. With that hard work money, I am buying food from outside restaurant and I'm eating. So I'm doing good. I'm not doing any sin. People doesn't know that they are eating sin. Even without their knowledge, they are eating sin. And sin is a thing with, if you do with your knowledge, without your knowledge, you have to suffer or enjoy the fruits of the sin. It's like an electricity live wire. A child without the knowledge touch that electricity live wire, and a adult with knowledge touch the electricity live wire. The result is same. So sin is also same. So people might be not knowing that they are doing sin, but still they are doing sin. So this material world, you cannot avoid doing sin. And then once you do sin, people might be thinking that I am doing pious activities, I have to go to spiritual, I have to go to heavenly planets. But the result might be different. They will go to hellish planet. So the best thing to do in this material world is to come under the shelter of Guru, under the shelter of devotees, and by that we will be always in shelter of Krishna. even though we might be, even though we might be doing something wrong or something. Uh, for example, if, when we come in the when we start doing devotional service, because of our conditioning, we might not able to do, we might not able to give our 100%. We might not have that much determination. We might not have that much love towards devotees. We might not have anything, but if one thing, if we just try to associate with devotees, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever, even if you do this devotional service, there is no harm. Anything else you do except devotional service, there is danger at every step. But doing devotional service, there is no harm, and it will never go waste. So slowly, you might get grace of Krishna in bits and pieces. Then it will build up, and then you will able to experience that bliss and that happiness in doing devotional service. So it's better to be in association of devotees and do devotional service. And if somebody still cannot understand that how good devotional service is, and they still want to do pious activities, even though they do pious activities, they will have to go through birth, old age, disease, and death. Pious activities will not save you from going through birth, going through old age, going through disease, going to death. We might think that if we when we are diseased and if we pray to sun god will give us health. But how long? One day you have to again, whatever, as I told you, pious activities is like a money which we are earning, which will be spent in no time. But when we do spiritual activities, it's like the money which will never go out. It's like eternal credit. And then, so the good thing or the intelligent thing to do is to perform spiritual activities instead of doing any pious activities. I was hearing from Prahaladananda Maharaj. He was speaking on this uh, in 2000. His lecture was there, Prahaladanand Swami Maharaj, in 2004. So that in that lecture he was speaking, people think that pious activities is go at the time of that, people will get this, since people staying in Indians, especially Indians, they know, they have heard enough in their life that if you do good, you will go to heaven. If you do wrong, you will go to hell. And how to go to heaven? By doing pious activities. So people have heard enough in their life to about this thing. So when they age out, and Srila Prabhupada also here writing, everyone is conscious of the last stage of life when he will meet the cruel hands of death, but some consider their age and circumstances, concern themselves with the influence of time, and thus engage in pious activities so that in the future they will not put in the low family or in animal species. So in India, because people have heard all these things, they know about these things, and they think that when they are young, they when they are young, they can enjoy their life, and when they are old, they have to do all this pious activities so that they will be saved from going to hell. But it is not like a plus or minus thing. So if you do some bad thing and if you do some good thing, it will neutralize. No, it is not like that. If we have a good example of Dhritarashtra. In his previous life, he was a hunter, and then he plucked the eyes of a father bird and kill all the 100 babies of that father by burning them in fire. So then after 50 or 100, I forgot that number, after some lifetimes, 50 lifetimes or 100 lifetimes, he became Dhritarashtra. he became king, and then he had 100 sons, but they were all dead. Then Dhritarashtra asked Krishna, why it happened to me? What did I do for this to happen? Then Krishna tells him the story that after in your previous life, few lives ago, you were like a hunter, and you killed babies, and then you plucked the eyes of father. Then Dhritarashtra said that why after 50 or 100 lifetimes I have to get this? Why not in the same life or next life? Then Krishna said that for this to happen, you have to have a good pious, you have to do pious activities. You have to generate so much piety that you will get 100 sons in one lifetime. And you have by generating that much piety, you have generated extra piety to become a royal king, and that's why you are the king, and you had to went through this suffering in this lifetime. That means what we can understand here, that Dhritarashtra was a sinner in some 50 lifetimes ago, but in the rest of the 50 lifetimes he was doing pious activities, he was generating piety. So without his knowledge, he did not even knew that he was generating pious activities only to go through suffering in his 100th lifetime. And in all these 50 lifetimes, when he was doing pious activities, he still took birth, he still died, he still went through suffering, he still became old, and then in every lifetime he had to go through that suffering. In the future verses, Lord Kapila Muni will say, what is the condition of a living entity when he is in the womb of mother? And many times Yugal Kishore Prabhuji also showed that video. It's like if we see that video, first we have to die, very unpleasant death, and then again after that we don't know how much time we have to suffer in just ether, and then by somehow by Krishna's mercy we get we go in the womb of mother. But what if we take a birth in an ant family? What if we take a birth in a spider family? We will be crushed by elephant. So again we have to take birth all the disease and death. But somehow or other we did pious activity and we got a human form of life. But still, in when we are in the womb, it is much more miserable than dying. Every second the worms will eat you. You don't have space to move. You have to eat only what mother eat. And what if mother eats some spicy? What if the mother eats some sour food? Your body will burn. You will cry, but nobody knows. You will be in pain. And it's like a torture. For humans it's just a 9 months. If you are in an elephant mother womb, you will be there for 18 months, and that to suffering a lot. And then, so you can imagine that taking birth is also much more is also equal to or more suffering than taking and then dying. Then Dhritarashtra doing pious activities in every life, he was going through all this suffering. But uh, since people doesn't know this, they think that doing pious activities will make them happy. No, it is only devotional service activity will make you happy. Doing pious activities, doing some charity to people and all, that is philanthropist activity. It's not, it's anybody can do that, but they'll not get any kind of happiness. Bill Gates is giving so much money to so many charitable trusts, but still he's going through anxiety. He had to go to divorce. If that was the case, if people have thought that doing pious activities will nullify all the misdeeds which they do, then you can clearly see there are so many examples in our present age also, like Bill Gates and so many rich people who do so much charity and so many pious activities but still go through suffering because of their uh, sinful actions which they performed in their past life. So that is what Mother Devoti wanted to ask, is inquiring that please also describe eternal time which is representation of your form, and by whose influence in general engage people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. So Mother Devotee want to inquire about more and more about how it will help, it will influence the nature of a human being, because people are in three modes. Doing pious activities will not make them come out of these three modes. Only doing devotional service, they can come out of the three modes. As long as people are in three modes, they have to go through happiness and distress. That is for sure. Otherwise, there is no hope for them. Only doing devotional service will make people come out of this cycle of three modes, and then they will be situated in the transcendental goodness, and then they will feel that bliss and happiness. This is what I wanted to speak on this verse today. And today uh, is appearance day of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So I just like to speak about him for 5 minutes. Whatever I heard from Sham Kishore Prabhuji and whatever I heard from all the devotees, I just wanted to repeat. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur used to his schedule is very intense. He just used to sleep for 2 hours, and the rest of the time, and then either he used to translate the books, or chanting, or doing some devotional service. And then he was also a magistrate in the high court, and he was not just like a small magistrate. He was big, and all the cases which are not solved by the British government are sent to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he used to just solve the cases in like 1 day or 2 days, not more than that. There was one incident in his time. There was one Baba called Falgu Baba, and then that Baba was a mystic. He has a mystic. He has mysticism. He knew the mystic arts. So whoever used to come to him, he used to give whatever they need, and everybody started worshipping him as a god. And that British government has came to know about it, and they were thinking that this is a problem, and they couldn't do anything. For all the things they tried, they couldn't do anything of that Falgu Baba, because he was so powerful that nothing, no weapon will work against him, nothing will work against him because of his mystic power. But then they came begging to Bhakti Vinod Thakur that please help them to get rid of this Baba, otherwise it is a problem for their government. Then Bhakti Vinod Thakur went and spoke with Baba. Very humbly he spoke, and he said that whatever you are doing is wrong. People might be thinking you are God, but I know you are not God. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur proved that he's not God by just asking him few questions. Are you? He asked, "Will you be here forever or not?" That mystic yogi said he did not add any answer, because he knew that he also going to die. And then he said, "Are you, with all this mystic power, are free from your material lust, or are you free from all the kinds of six pollution which we have in heart?" He couldn't answer, because he was all doing this only for name and fame. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked him to just asked him to confront these things in front of people, but he did not wanted to do. And then I have heard that there was like a shastric discussion, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur started reading Srimad Bhagavatam. By the influence of his reading Srimad Bhagavatam, the mystic knowledge which that yogi had was all gone, and then he couldn't do anything, and he had to leave. So that is the power of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was a pure devotee of Krishna, and when he used to chant, he used to see Krishna. He used to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and and he also with the help of Jagannath Babaji Maharaj, found out the place of Lord Chaitanya, birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. And then how it happened? Jagannath Babaji Maharaj was very weak. He was very invalid, like he couldn't move externally, though, but internally he was very blissful. He was very weak externally, but when and how we there was his disciple. I forgot his name. Vipin Bihari. Yeah, his disciple was a Vipin Bihari who used to carry Jagannath Babaji Maharaj everywhere he wanted to go. So he carried Jagannath Babaji Maharaj to Mayapur, and as soon as on the request of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and as soon as when Jagannath Babaji Maharaj came at the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, he jumped from that basket and started dancing in joy and in bliss. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur had come to know that this is the place of Lord Chaitanya, and then he established he wanted to establish a temple there, and that's how we come to know about Mayapur. And then after the birthplace of Mayapur, he had all the from the Shastras. He and also he had printed Chaitanya Charitamrita. Before he came, Chaitanya Charitamrita was lost, and then he somehow or other he found out Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he read Chaitanya Charitamrita completely. And then after reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, once he found out the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, from the script from Chaitanya Charitamrita, he also excavated the places of Srivas Thakur house, and from the description given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then that's how he excavated Mayapur. So that is and all these things came revealed to him by Lord Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he is the eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya and pure devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And also he was very learned, very scholarly. He translated Jai Dharma, Jaiva Dharma, and then he wrote so many books he translated, so many poems he wrote about Krishna, and then he was so much devoted, and then he asked Krishna to give a son who is who is Parshad of Krishna, and then our beloved Saraswati Thakur has taken birth in his family, and his name was Vimal Prasad. And so these are all instances which I can think of about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and how because of Bhaktivinoda Thakur he was also very strict with his practices. And then if and then he showed us with the example that how a sadhaka who is very serious in his spiritual life has to be in his own life. So, and that is what we can learn from his poems, from his writing, and from his life. So this is what I wanted to speak today. If anybody have any questions or any corrections, I am please correct me. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Any question for you? No question.
So, talk about how you so strict with your personal practices and didn't waste any time. So, sometimes in the name of services, in the name of doing things for Krishna, it's like I have a tendency to get distracted or reduce my focus, become distracted. So the thing is that, of course, we know that when one becomes heart becomes fully purified, then one is always intense and enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness, and Krishna always pulls one's consciousness and one's mind. But what measures can I take to make sure that I don't waste and become this?
So Shyam Kishore Prabhuji wanted to ask this question that what measures he should take that he doesn't get distracted.
What's that?
What measures he should take that he doesn't get distracted from his spiritual life. So, so whatever I have seen in you, I can tell everything about. That is the answer, Prabhuji. So Shyam Kishore Prabhuji, to not get distracted, he always keep his headphones on his ears and keep on hearing lectures so that he don't get distracted. And then Shyam Kishore Prabhuji closes the door and sit in the room and keep reading and keep reading and keep reading and keep studying so that he don't get distracted. And Shyam Kishore Prabhuji,
Please, please.
so that is from life, book Bhagavad and devotee Bhagavad. No, so
Something from Shastra.
okay, so he doesn't want me to tell all the glories of him. So according to Shastra, whatever I heard and whatever I listened, and you have to be in association of seriously practicing devotees, and looking at them, you have to follow their instructions very strictly. You have to follow the instructions of your authority very strictly. Whatever they tell you to do, even if you don't like, try to do it. You will get the grace, and you will think that it might not be you might not excel in that, but since you have the instruction, you also have the power to do that. You also got the grace to do that. So follow in that way. You will be focused, and don't compare. We should never compare ourselves with others. Others might be doing like it's like other might have their own quality, we might have our own quality. It's like a fish comparing with a bird. If a fish thinks that a bird is flying, I am not able to fly, then fish is always miserable, distracted. But if the fish think that, oh, I have this quality of swimming and I am able to swim, and bird has a quality of flying, he's able to fly, and appreciating each other, they will be fully they will be focused and happy. They'll not get distracted. They will be satisfied in what they are doing. And also we have to make an habit of being fully observed in what we are doing. For example, if we are to not get distracted, we have to be observed. And how to be observed? By first we have to have the knowledge that whatever we are doing, it is not a material thing, it's a service to Krishna, and it's directly we are actually getting opportunity to directly be in the spiritual world by doing this service. If we know the greatness of what we are doing, we will be fully observed. If we don't know if we take it very cheaply, then we will take our services very cheaply. So, and keep hearing. By hearing, we will get so much determination. Yes, whatever, because we are hearing from pure devotees or any devotee, we are hearing with full submissiveness. Then we'll get that intelligence. We'll get the conviction that what we are doing is, yes, that is right. Keep reading. While reading Srila Prabhupada's purport, every purport, if you read, you will get automatically instruction from what you are looking for from Srila Prabhupada. And association is very important. That is what I can speak from what I have heard. If you want to, please correct me.
You said that if you do these things, will be in the spiritual world. When we know it will put us in the spiritual world, why to come to the material world? Why to have a desire? Why to cultivate desire to come back to the material world?
You only answer first.
No, ask. You said you quoted.
So whatever I heard and whatever I know, whatever I realized from
Why to come to the material world? Why should we do those things that will bring us to the material?
One thing is the conditioning, that conditioning has to go first. And then that will go only by association and by doing the things.
If you're already in the spiritual world, where is the root for conditioning? You said all these things you're doing will you're in the spiritual world, right? So if you're already in the spiritual means you've gone beyond conditioning.
That consciousness should come, actually we are in spiritual world, but we doesn't realize that we are in spiritual world. That's what I can think, right? That is the reason we are so much like we say Krishna and Maya are always moment to moment, Prabhuji. That one moment when we feel when we are doing the service and we are fully focused, we will be in spiritual world. But Krishna always tests us moment to moment. He doesn't just leave that, oh, he's doing this service.
This is the thing that is right, and I should do it. Why should we do things that is taking us away from what you said?
We should avoid doing that, Prabhuji. Yeah.
So then, what to do to avoid doing that?
Again, same thing, Prabhuji. Keep hearing, be in association by hearing. It's like beating your mind, beating with the Shastra. And then one day, since mind is like a chanchal, it one time it is once when that mind is uh, for some time it will, oh, this is good, then sometime that is good, that is, so it's chanchal. So we have to curb the mind with intelligence. So that intelligence we have to sharpen, and by hearing, reading, and association, we can sharpen that intelligence. And then that intelligence will control the mind. And then once that intelligence is so much sharpened and it can control our mind fully, we'll never even look for those things which we were doing before, and we will, like Kulashekara Alvar's this his verse is there, right? He said, if I think of going back to that sex life, I'll just spit on Yamunacharya, yeah, Yamunacharya. So he was doing those things, but when he came and when he started doing spiritual activities, he has fully realized, because he have sharpened it intelligence. And then now when he is thinking that, oh, I was doing those, like I was a ruler, I was so much sense doing so much sense gratification. Now he, by the thought only, will speak slowly. So that is what will happen. If
To split the thought, what should we do?
again, sharpen your intelligence, Prabhuji, and be in association of devotees. Keep beating your mind with.
My question, not in the association mode. We are trying to sharpen your intelligence by doing all these things. When we know this is right and the other side is wrong, why should we even look to go that side? That's the question. Honestly speaking, I'm unable to understand him. A person, well, if somebody stays here, solid, I realized. So that's the thing. If and you're quoting whatever you said, say I believe it. If this is right and that is wrong, why somebody doesn't stick to this process? So,
Maya is so strong, Prabhuji. They will come under influence of Maya, but they have to practice it to come out of that. And renunciation, like Krishna says, right, practice and renunciation will only help you to control your mind. And if you have to keep practicing, and on day one it is not, on first day they will, even if we tell, they'll not come, Prabhuji. So keep practicing. No,
you are quoting and saying,
yes, that's what I'm thinking, Prabhuji. Yes, practice.
in the station BTS with Shastra, conditioning is there, it is response.
Anybody have any questions on Zoom? If no one has, then we'll end this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you very much, Prabhu, for wonderful class. And I was really hoping if we can continue about the activities of Shyam Kishore Prabhu. That was so nice to hear his glories.
He wanted me to stop doing otherwise. She go first. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji. So we'll end.
Anything in the chat?
So he's not allowing. Is that what it is?
Yes, Prabhuji is not allowing me to speak.
We'll discuss in person, Prabhu. Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Okay, then we'll end this class now. वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Rohininandan Prabhu ki.
समवेत भक्तवृंद।
Jai.
Sai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandatana.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavats, Prabhu. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Very wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare